Wow, thank you. And what fabulous stories we've heard already tonight. I feel that I'm in a room of women who leaned in long before Sheryl Sandberg wrote a book about it. But let me tell you how very proud I feel for me, for my wonderful staff at Care Australia, and for the communities we work with, to have been selected as the Telstra ACT Businesswoman of the Year in 2013. And I'm really enjoying being here in this room of extraordinary women to celebrate the 20th anniversary of these awards and to meet all the finalists and winners tonight. Well, I have to say, I never expected to be here. I mean, I have worked hard. I've worked really hard to get here, but I'm also the first to admit that luck has played a role. Like you, I'm lucky to live in Australia, particularly as a woman. Because in many countries around the world where care works, women and girls have too few opportunities. Far too few lucky breaks. And in fact, they can't lean in because people are pushing them out. I grew up in Africa and I saw hunger and absolute poverty firsthand. My family wasn't desperately poor, although I remember my parents wondering how they were going to pay the next set of bills that came in. But we were rich and fortunate compared to many of the people we lived amongst. And from having lived through a war, from having seen the effects of famine and drought and floods, and from having talked to women who've lost their homes, who've lost their husbands, who've lost their children, I know only too well that we live in a world that can offer everything or nothing. And it's a world that provides some people with wonderful opportunities and a treasure trove of choices. But 1 billion people, yes, 1 billion people, simply struggle to survive. You know, for us, I think the struggle is with overabundance. We're flooded with new opportunities, new things to see, new things to buy, new things to want. And sometimes making the right choice can be stressful. But for that 1 billion people around the world, their choices are much more stark. They aren't worrying about how to choose a mobile phone plan or what benchtop to use for their kitchen renovation, or where to take that short break after a stressful week at work. For that 1 billion people, they're worrying about whether they can afford to take their child to a clinic when it's sick. They're worrying about whether they should eat less today to save some food in case there isn't any tomorrow. They're choosing between walking for an hour to collect water or going to school. You know, it is an unfair world, and the burden lies unfairly on the shoulders of women. Of that 1 billion people, 2/3 are women. So why would it be that 2 out of every 3 of the poorest people in the world would be women? Well, it's because of the choices made by families, by communities, by nations, choosing to give fewer opportunities, fewer chances to women, choosing not to send them to school, choosing customs and laws that prevent women from inheriting property, that discourage them from speaking out, condoning violence against women. We don't need to ask if this is unjust. We just need to ask what we can do to stop the injustice of discrimination. And believe me, we do have a choice whether we act or choose not to act. You have that choice. Can we really make a difference in this huge problem? Well, consider this. That 1 billion people, that's 15% of the world's population today. 30 years ago, that half the world's population lived in extreme poverty. So we have come a long way in overcoming poverty. But I want to put a proposition to you that my generation, your generation, our generations, working together can generate the change we need to eliminate the scourge of extreme poverty from the world. We can achieve this in our lifetime. You know, the global economy is worth around $70 trillion. That is enough for everyone. So it's up to us to make sure that everyone has enough. And acting to stop discrimination against women and girls is a great place to start. So, it's wonderful to be here tonight. Thank you, Telstra and the Commonwealth Bank and News Corp, for promoting women in business in Australia for 20 years. Tonight's been wonderful, and it will be even more wonderful if we use it to reach out and help others up, to create a just world for everyone. Thank you.